UFC 317 goes down this Saturday, and let's give you a little bit of a preview. Now, as I do with all these betting guides, previews, whatever you want to call it, I will tell you whether this card is worth the $80 or not. That's the first thing. Kinda. The main event's really good, but can I say it's worth $80? Get a bunch of buddies together and split it. Go to Buffalo Wild Wings. But this card is worth watching. I think that's important. We'll start out with the first fight of the night. Felipe Lima versus Peyton Talbot. I don't think there's any question amongst MMA fans that Peyton Talbot's really good. Peyton Talbot didn't necessarily get fraud checked, but he got a cold reminder of what happens when you start your career just murking dudes, not having to go to the deep waters. And the deep waters being like just the third round. Because when you spent your entire career essentially ending guys in the first and second, the third round, it's a cute little thought. And then you actually do have to go to the third round. And what happens? You end up running out of gas, you get drowned, you're gassed out, and you end up getting your first loss. I'm not saying that Felipe Lima is a slouch. He's not. He's 14-1. He's 2-0 in the UFC. He looks really good. But I do think that this is a get-right fight for Peyton Talbot. I think Peyton Talbot is going to correct those things. I think he's going to be more patient in this fight compared to other ones. I don't think he's going to gas out. And I think if he does end up getting tired, it'll be closer to the end of the third round and not necessarily like, boy, we're 2 minutes into the second round and he looks exhausted. So I like Peyton Talbot in this one. I like him by KO. And then we will move on to fight number 2. That right there is going to be Money Moicano versus Beneil Dariush. Moicano saying, I am going to retire Beneil Dariush. Hard not to like Money Moicano. The guy gets out there. He shouts out his dad for having sex. He's a character. He's a good fighter. But I also think that he's going to run into a problem in Beneil Dariush. I think this is a really good opportunity for Beneil Dariush to remind people who the hell he is. He is riding a 2-fight losing streak. But those 2 fights are to Arman and Charles. Not bad guys to lose to. Moicano fought for the title recently, and it was a late, short notice. We need somebody in there in about 48 hours. Hey, Moicano, do you want it? Sure, I'll take it. And it went about as well as everybody expected it to go. I think I look at Moicano as a lightweight version of like Edson Barboza at featherweight. He's good. He's probably top 5, and that's where he'll peak. But he's never going to be that championship contender. And I know that sounds an oxymoron because he literally just fought for the title, but that was a replacement fight. I like Moicano. I think Moicano's really good. I think he's developed at lightweight. I think he's been way better at lightweight than he was at featherweight. I wasn't surprised. I picked him against Benoit Saint Denis. I wasn't surprised about that fight. But I do think Beneil Dariush is going to take this one because I just think he's better. Now, the problem that Beneil Dariush is going to run into is you're a wrestler and this dude's got a black belt in BJJ. Like, what happens there? But still, at the end of the day, I do really, really, really like Beneil Dariush in this one to get back in the win column. I don't think Moicano retires him. I think there's levels to this, and I think that Beneil Dariush is just a little bit ahead of Moicano. The third fight of the night is Joshua Van stepping in on short notice to fill in for Manel Kape, taking on Brandon Royval. And Joshua Van was somebody who in the last pay-per-view preview, I said, hey, this is a guy to watch. This is a guy that, maybe in a year could be fighting for a belt. With a win, probably fights for a belt by the end of this year, not next year. He had a really, really impressive win at UFC 316. Manel Kape ends up dropping out of the fight, and Josh Van's like, I'll take it, no problem. And this is going to be, I think, one of the funnest fights of the night, if not the one that you look at and you go this is a fun fight. Both these guys are eyeing for the number 1 contendership. You figure of the flyweight division. Flyweights are also always fun fights, but Brandon Royval said that he's the most disrespected fighter in the UFC. I don't believe that, but I do think people sleep on him. I do think that he's looked at as not elite because of the fact of who he's lost to. But he's lost to only the elite guys. I just don't think Joshua Van is there yet. I think he's going to get there. I think Joshua Van's really good. But Brandon Royval's got that dog in him. I mean, there's a reason why they call him Raw Dog, and he'll tell you that. But legitimately, the dude's got a dog in him. Like, his fights, he'll look like he's out, and then he's not, and his scrambles. I think he's going to drown Joshua Van. And I think Joshua Van's going to find it really, really difficult to get Brandon Royval out of there. And I think Brandon Royval takes this one. I think he just drowns him, and he submits him. I like Brandon Royval on that one. Next up, the flyweight title is on the line in the co-main event. Kai Kara-France taking on the champion Alexander Pantoja. This one is going to be fun because both of these guys are just so elite. And this, I think, is the toughest fight of the night to pick because it really, really could go either way. I'm leaning towards the champion. I'm leaning toward Alexander Pantoja. Now, Kai Kara-France has proven me wrong many, many times. And I've been one of those guys, like, I'll pick against him pretty consistently, and it's nothing against him. It's not like I don't think he's good. I just think the other guy's better, and he humbles me pretty quickly. But there's a guy that has really only lost to the elite of the division as well. Alexander Pantoja, though, when you factor in his hitting ability, his punching power, and just the ground game, I think he ends up taking it. I will give the coaching edge to Kai Kara-France. The City Kickboxing team and all those guys out there in New Zealand, like, they've done a great, great, great job with pretty much all of their fighters. So I think you're going to get a really, really close possible split decision in this one. I think eventually, though, it does end up going to Alexander Pantoja. And then finally, for the main event, vacant lightweight title on the line, you have Charlie Olives, Charles Oliveira taking on Ilia Topuria, coming up from 145, looking beautiful on the scale because, yeah, he's coming up in weight. Charles looking sunken in on the scale because he's Charles Oliveira. He always looks sunken in. I think that Charles Oliveira is being completely forgotten in this fight. I think people just think that Ilia Topuria is going to go in there and starch him in round one, and you can't blame people. Ilia Topuria said it himself, I'm going to knock this dude out in one round. And you look at what Ilia Topuria has done. He knocks out Max Holloway. No one's ever done that. You're going up a weight class, though. And Charles should be the bigger fighter. And not only is Charles the bigger fighter, but you have guys in the UFC, like Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, who said, man, I did not see Charles Oliveira hitting hard like that. You forget it because his ground game is so incredibly elite, but this dude packs bombs in his fists. I'm not saying that he's going to go out there and knock out Ilia Topuria at all, but I do think what you're going to have is a situation where he's going to shock Ilia Topuria, and then if it gets to the ground, I think it's a wrap. I think back to the McGregor-Diaz fight. Now, granted, that was at 170, and McGregor at the time was fighting at lightweight at 155, so he went up a big chunk of weight in that fight, but he's fighting at 170, and, Nate at that point, he came in the fight probably at 190, and McGregor came in probably at around 170. But you just kind of figured, at least a lot of people figured, that McGregor was going to go out there and just do what McGregor does, like murk him in round one, murk him in round two, but end the fight. And McGregor's putting everything into his shots, everything. And Diaz is just eating him. And then eventually you saw the tide turn where it's like McGregor was gassed. I could see the same thing happening to Ilia. Maybe not to the extent of McGregor-Diaz won, but to the extent of like, man, normally the guy goes down with that shot, and now he's not. Look, his precision power is there. His precision timing, all of that, it is there. I just like Charles Oliveira in this one. I think Charles Oliveira gets this one. I think he gets his belt back. I think Ilia is going to have to adjust to 155 a little bit better than simply just coming up in weight and thinking that it's going to transition and translate from 145 to 155. I don't see it happening, but hey, I'm wrong all the time. All right, let's look at some low-key fights on this card. I like the prelim, the main event, the prelim main event. Main event of the prelims? Whatever. I like it. Jack Hermanson versus G-Rod, Gregor Rodriguez. Gregor Rodriguez is, that dude, every time I think about Gregor Rodriguez, I think about that one fight where he had to end it because if it went to the stools, the fighting commission would have stopped it because he literally had like a hole right in his head. You could see tendons. He's tough as nails. Jack Hermanson has a way about him where he will look like he does not even look like he gets his ass kicked in round one. He gets beat up. But the dude rope-a-dopes. And I don't know if he's going to be able to rope-a-dope against G-Rod. I'm a big Jack Hermanson guy. Yes, they exist. But I think G-Rod's punching power just creates too much of a problem where Jack isn't going to be able to do the rope-a-dope. He's not going to be able to wear this guy out like an Edmund Shabazian. He's not going to be able to heel hook him like he did with Kevin Gastelum. I think he gets finished. And I like G-Rod in that one. Any other ones? Not really. Terrence McKinney. That's a good one. I was like, Terrence McKinney's a fun fighter to watch. Barely made weight, though. Barely made weight. But I like watching him. Other than that, the prelims are kind of trash. So there you go. There you have it. Those are my picks for UFC 317. You've got Peyton Talbot by KO. You've got Beneil Dariush. I don't have a pick if that's like a finish or not, but I think it just goes to the decision. Then you've got Brandon Royval by finish. I like Alexander Pantoja by a very, very close margin. And then I like Charles Oliveira. You guys know what to do. Like, subscribe. Subscribe's important because I need 1,000 of those. And let me know what fight you're looking forward to most and what fight I was most wrong about. Maybe we'll come back and we'll laugh about it during the post show.